David Morgan, themorganreport.com, and we are continuing on the crypto conspiracy. And back with me is John Perez. John, I'm not going to give you a big bio because I think this is our fourth, fifth, or sixth one. And I also did not a detour because I want to bring in lots of different people thinking along the same lines that you and I are, that there's more to this story than most people are seeing. I just got a couple of emails about, on my LinkedIn account. I'm so grateful that you are doing something that isn't just cheerleading this whole crypto thing. I'm glad that you're actually bringing like the other side of the coin. So a couple of compliments like that. And so today we're going to look at kind of a broader base and bring it back into the crypto world. So John, thanks for joining me. What we're going to talk today is the executive order and what the executive order says. My opinion, well-studied one, is that there was interference in the election and it was outside of our country. I'll just spit it out. I think the Chinese interfered. Now, if that gets this video taken off of YouTube, so be it. We are on Odyssey, everyone. So no matter what happens, John and I will continue on this quest and we'll be available. You just have to look us up on Odyssey. And if you're on our free email list, that's the best way. It's direct contact, and we will just send you the link so you can continue to hear this series. So having said that, John, let's do a refresher on what this executive order says.
Yeah, this was issued December 21st, 2017, and the title there is Executive Order Blocking the Property of Persons Involved in Serious Human Rights Abuse or Corruption. And I would say that considering the Ghislaine trial this week and Epstein, I would say that group, that island, fits in this category. But this is a executive order people need to read. If you're in the crypto markets, particularly Bitcoin, you really need to read this. This has got a lot of teeth in it. I would describe this as a few razor blades taped onto the end of a nuclear weapon. Very, very clear and very specific, but this digs down deep. Let me read a couple pieces here. I, Donald Trump, President of the United States of America, find that the prevalence and severity of human rights abuse and corruption that have their source in whole or in substantial part outside of the United States. That piece right there, outside the United States, remember that. Such as those committed or directed by persons listed in the annex to this order, have reached such scope and gravity that they threaten the stability of international political and economic systems. Note, international, outside the United States. So this executive order is going to reach outside the borders here, period. Human rights abuse and corruption undermine the values that form an essential foundation of stable, secure, and functioning societies, having devastating impacts on individuals, weaken democratic institutions, degrade the rule of law, perpetuate violent conflicts, facilitate the activities of dangerous persons, and undermine economic markets. The United States seeks to impose tangible and significant consequences on those who commit serious human rights abuses or engage in corruption, as well as to protect the financial system of the United States from abuse by the same persons. Well, the last sentence, protect the financial system from abuse from these same persons. Well, that's the big trial this week. It's Maxwell. And you look at this gets far more intense reading on here, and I'll pick up pieces of this here earlier. And I wanted to get this out here this morning, David, because you had asked some solid questions, and I know you like to stick with the facts and where things are coming from. And this right here really touches on something that affects every American, whether you're left, right, pro-crypto, anti-crypto, it doesn't matter. This is where the rubber meets the road, and I believe that road is leading us. We're going down that road right now with this week's trial with Ghislaine Maxwell. Let me read another piece here. I hereby determine and order, Section 1, all property and interest in property that are in the United States that hereafter come within the United States or that are hereafter come within the possession or control of any United States person of the following persons are blocked and may not be transferred, paid, exported, withdrawn, or otherwise dealt with. This is coming from the US Treasury now. So we've got the United States government and we've got the US Treasury. So this is an economic piece right here because it's talking about human rights. I don't think anyone's going to get a bunker buster for over human rights. And scroll down a little bit here. Any foreign person determined by the Secretary of the Treasury in consultation with the Secretary of State and Attorney General. Well, let's see. I think who's coming back in. Biden's got his picks right now, but it's questionable whether Biden's going to be around and enforce these things or not. I don't believe he's going to. I believe they're going to continue allowing this to go on, not because they want it to go on or they don't want it to go on. It's because I personally believe, and this is down the rabbit hole conspiracy. I personally believe that this is an active sting operation and it's a military grade operation because Bitcoin as itself, how it could go from 2009 to 2021 without any type of regulatory action on it tells me that there's something bigger going on here that we don't see. But you look at the executive order and you ask yourself, why was this executive order written and who is it directed at? And it's very clear here, just this one sentence alone about people that engage in human rights abuses and their properties. Any person determined by the Secretary of Treasury to be responsible for or complicit in or have directly or indirectly engaged in serious human rights abuses, to be current or a former government official. You hear that? Well, who was in that photograph in the on our video number 3? Right in the center was Larry Summers with Bill Gates to the right, who's not a government official, but Larry Summers is a former Treasury official under the Clinton administration. Or a person acting for or on behalf of such an official. Okay, ex-official, you got someone representing you 2 lanes down, you know, how many corporations, how many shell corporations, how many people they have working for them, who is responsible for or complicit in or has directly engaged in, number 1, corruption, including the misappropriation of state assets here. This is a big one. This is another level down here. The expropriation of private assets for personal gain, corruption related to government contracts, or the extraction of natural resources or bribery. Extraction of natural resources. There's only one major investigation going on in that area, and that's uranium. That's probably focused on uranium 1 there. The transfer of the facilitation of the transfer of the proceeds of corruption to be or have been a leader or an official, an entity including any government entity that has engaged in or whose members have engaged in any of the activities described in subsections of this section relating to the leader's official's tenure. Well, I mean, all we got to say is how many times have we seen Bill Clinton and other officials at Epstein Island? I believe this is Bill Clinton. This right here is ex-official. To have attempted to engage in any of the activities described in subsection. Let me move down here. I want to get to the place where they really focus on seizing assets here. The seizing assets portion was, here we go again. The prohibitions in section 1 include the making of any contribution of provision of funds, goods, or services by, to, or for the benefit of any person whose property and interest in property are blocked pursuant to this order. Let me come down some more. Let's see. Okay, here we go. The term entity means a partnership, association, trust, joint venture, corporation, group, subgroup, or other organization. Every single veil is pierced here. This executive order is every single veil is pierced. Partnership, family, you name it. This goes down 3-4 levels deep. The term United States person means any United States citizen, permanent, resident alien, entity organized under the laws of U.S. or any jurisdiction within the United States, including foreign branches or any person in the United States. For those whose property and interest in property are blocked pursuant to this order, who might have a constitutional presence in the United States, I find that because of the ability to transfer funds or other assets, instantaneously. How do you transfer funds instantaneously? There you go. Crypto, Bitcoin? I don't know. what I'm trying to do is piece in the puzzle. Who is he talking to? What's the message here? This seems more like a giant warning letter also. I find that because of the ability to transfer funds or assets instantaneously prior to notice to such persons of measures to be taken pursuant to this order would render those measures ineffective. I therefore determine that for these measures to be effective in addressing the national emergency declared in this order, there needs to be no prior notice of a listing or determination made pursuant to this order. And what's being said there? There's going to be no warning. I've told this to people. If there's going to be any type of great reset in crypto, there's not going to be a warning. There's going to be opening up. If you've been hacked, you probably know what this feels like. I can't access everything. Liz Warren in a Senate hearing, which I'll get that recording here next time. Liz Warren, they came on with, I forgot what the guy's name is, but he was an official working in the government, and he said flat out, he says, if there's going to be any type of reining in of Bitcoin, he says, what there's going to be is a legal document that is agreed upon with nations worldwide. They would just outlaw Bitcoin being able to be exchanged into that country's currency. And by listening to what he said, it sounds like he pretty much said the agreement's already ready to go, which means, okay, if a U.S. official government says, hey, we're going to go out and do X, of course, obviously they're going to use the power of the dollar, the tariff, and I don't think anyone's going to argue against trying to attempt to stop human trafficking or any type of human rights abuse here. And back to the Ghislaine trial this week here, we're going to see more of this here. Let me find one more piece here. I thought okay, this is not this. I'm going to bring this into the next one here. The details of how they came about putting this executive order together here was enough. This was actually, it was this document that got me looking into who is he talking to. This is a serious executive order. There's nothing like this has been written before, but it's written in modern terms. And to me, I looked at this as human rights abuse, human trafficking, crypto, Bitcoin, because of our initial map where we've got this, basically this orbit where all these Bitcoin people are circling around Jeffrey Epstein. So there's an introduction there, and I just wanted to put that out there so people don't look at you or me or saying, oh, well, you guys are anti-crypto. We're not anti-crypto. We're pro-free markets, pro-crypto, pro-blockchain. We support technology for the sake of honest money. Gold, silver, absolutely. This piece right here, though, because of so many different actions that are coming about right now, this has to be put in question. But this goes together with all the other videos here, and this is a key piece. And as it says here, I have to read this again. I therefore determine that for these measures to be effective in addressing the national emergency declared in this order, there need be no prior notice of a listing or determination made pursuant to this order. In other words, they don't have to tell you they've already came to a grand jury conclusion. They don't have to tell you that you're going to be sent off to Gitmo or wherever they send you. There's going to be no warning. It's just going to be a knock on the door, or just and this has to do with this specifically. So now what do we have here? We've got an executive order, and we've got the Ghislaine trial. You look at the executive order, you look at the trial here and the network around here, and you start to piece them together, and you start to ask questions, and then you start to add things up. 1 + 1 = 2. 2 + 2 = 4 here. This is going somewhere. This has teeth. And by the way, what is interesting about these executive orders, these are the executive orders. Remember when Biden basically deleted many of Trump's executive orders? He didn't delete this one. He did not push one to the side. So once again, this has teeth. This is not me coming from the sky. I don't like Bitcoin. This is like, I'm looking at this from a risk management. I still have clients, still have a few funds that I'm working with and I advise. They get all this information. They get it in much more detail. I go over it with them and say, you got to take this in consideration, put it on a note, put it on the record, for not for my sake, but for your sake, then maybe your job. This is an important piece here. So anyhow, I hope that covered a good piece of. There's more to this. We'll cover it in the intro of the next video.
Great summary, John. I think I'll just add a little bit. I'd like to summarize it very succinctly. So you went over a lot, and there's a lot more. There is an executive order that still exists. It basically has to do with human rights abuses. Within that exact same executive order, it talks about transfer of funds, which definitely covers the cryptosphere in total. There's no heads up that's going to be given that, oh yeah, anyone that's done this, or this is violating the law. In other words, the way you outlined twice, you've done this, you could pay a price, and you don't get a heads up. In other words, you could be, as you said, knock on the door, taken off the street, whatever.
Light switch. It's just going to be light switch. I can't access my account.
Yeah.
Where does my Bitcoin? It's like Mount Gox times 100,000.
So I'm going to talk about that. So I'm going to go ahead and conclude here, John. Is there anything that you'd like to say before we close out this one and get to our next in the series of crypto conspiracies?
Yeah, I always go back to goes back to precious metals and silver, and I've always got to lead us back there because that's where we're going to end up going here. Just solid money, honest money. Nobody's going to hack, a silver dollar on your desk. It's just not going to be hacked. You hold it, you own it, you control it. I think what a lot of people don't understand that are actually in the crypto industry is that what is happening right now is a nation state re-centralization of the fiat system into an ultra centralized digital fiat system. And when I say ultra centralized.
Well said, John. I just want to pause you because of a previous video I did with CyberSafe Parsa. I think you just summarized basically that whole video, that it is the opposite of what many crypto proponents are stating about decentralized and all this. And I know there's these pirate coins and all that, and I don't really want to address that in this series. I'm more interested in the springing of Bitcoin and everything that's emanated from there. But that's it. It's much more of a control mechanism than the fiat system is now. I can take a fiat dollar, $10, $100, go purchase, I don't know, what do I want? A steak dinner. And no one knows I had it because I pay cash for it. In the new system that is being developed and implemented in some cases, China's already implemented it to a great degree, you have no autonomy. And you also have such a control mechanism in the system that if they say you don't get to eat that meat, I don't care how much money you've got, Mr. Morgan, you only get to eat beef once a month. You've already had your allotment. So, I don't want to go too far, but I think this is what you're pointing at. And this is very, very concerning. Again, go a bit further. In the beginning of my calling, I'll say, the whole point for me about being financially well off wasn't about how much money I had. It was about freedom. I wanted to be financially free. I wanted to have the ability to spend my time the way I wanted to every day. That's what it meant to me. It wasn't like I got this kind of a car, I got this many houses, or my boat's bigger than your boat, or any of that. That's just not where my head and heart were. It was all about having more freedom. And so, end of pitch. If you'd like to have the final close, we will, and I'll be visiting you again soon, John.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, to end this, I would say this, I have to think this thing through. The entire crypto community is re-centralizing fiat to a centralized, ultra-centralized digital fiat system. There is nothing that cannot be seen that has not been likely already acquired. Every piece of data. And I actually invested in a company that I noticed. I said, wow, look, these are interesting board members here, all three-letter guys here. And this entire crypto security company, one of their gifts was being able to track down everything. And I mean everything, to the point to where at one point I came to the conclusion that you guys know more than the government with this software. I was blown away. So what I mean by that is we have basically, the crypto society has re-centralized fiat to a ultra centralized digital fiat system. That, what does that mean? There's no freedom there. These guys, they have so much information. Every transaction connected to your cell phone, your television, your computer. There's virtually no privacy. And to your point, what you just made, it's like the digital yuan. It's a surveillance coin. It is for surveillance. I think we're going to see an introduction of a three-letter coin in the UK, and we're going to see that happen. And here's the problem with a surveillance coin or that kind of digital coin: you get an ounce of silver, then one gold Bitcoin and 1 gold ounce of gold. Okay, that gold coin called Bitcoin. Actually, there's no coin there. It's just, it doesn't exist. You got 1 ounce of gold. The gold is just going to hold its value, and it's not going to expire. Digital yuan, a digital coin, at the flip of a switch, can expire. And that right there is what you just pointed on about the freedom of finances right there in silver.
Great. John, I'm going to wrap it up here. I can hardly wait to have you back as we explore deeper and deeper down the rabbit hole. I've got a sharp shovel. We're just going to keep digging. And, I don't want to bring conclusions. I obviously very opinionated, and I'll tell you. But, this is information for you to digest and come to your own conclusion. I'll end with a warning I've given, I think, on every one of these, and that is, nature preaches balance. So if you're a huge crypto person, fine. If you've got massive profits or reasonable profits and you're overweighted in that sector, just want you to think about it, because as John said, all it takes is, I'll add on to it an EMP, a solar flare, another blockage from one of these people that is doing ransomware. I mean, there's so many vectors that could stop a very highly dependent on the electrical grid system that you may not have any control over. So just buyer beware. I suggest taking profits if you have them to take, and I'll leave it there, John. Thank you.
Thank you. Another great chat with you, David, here. The saga, the conspiracy continues.